This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, everyone. Shelly, M-Lord, Curiouser, YouTube. Good evening. Matter Ursa was here earlier. What that news be doing? Indeed, we got a lot of shit to cover tonight. I want to get through it so we can get to the good evening to M-Lord's wife. Merry Christmas to you. Or whatever holiday you might celebrate, if you even celebrate one. Prometheus, happy holidays to you, my friend. Do you even acknowledge the Christmas? Is it Hanukkah in 4 hours, or does Hanukkah have a certain, like, it's sundown tomorrow it starts or some shit? But is it Hanukkah yet? Happy Hanukkah to you. Quesadilla, good evening. Happy holidays to everyone and a happy new year. We'll be doing... So it's tomorrow eve, so it's like sundown tomorrow is when the Chanukah actually starts. And my mom used to tell this story all the time. Like one of the... hygienist came out. She was a receptionist for a dental office. One of the hygienists came out and was like, what's this Chanukah holiday on the calendar? Because, you know, we're rednecks from Eastern Kentucky. Warlord, good evening. What, are you the newsman now? Are you going to come on and do the news? I'd let you, Warlord. If you wanted to have a night where you came on and did the news instead of me, I totally would let you do that. Media Winch might do it one night. Who knows? You never know what you might get. I was telling this to Curiouser the other day. My brother, like, she never got the chance to meet him, and she was gonna come stay with me at my mom's house one time because she's never been to, like, she's been through my hometown, she's driven through it, but she's never been to it. And I was like, you would find it fascinating because we were out in, like, the rural area around here, and I'm like, this is nothing like the rural part of Eastern Kentucky. Like, there's still money here. There's still, like, even the dumpy parts are somewhat decent, right? Like, the shittiest trailer we went by, I was like, I'd live there. That's not bad. Like, in Eastern Kentucky, it's just, like, insane the amount of poverty, the blight, the rundown areas, the trailers up hollers. But my brother, like, you wouldn't know he was my brother unless I told you. Now, he is my half brother. We only share one parent, but we look nothing alike. We act nothing alike. We sound nothing alike. He is, like, short with Brillo pad kind of hair. And he's a fucking redneck as all get out, as hillbilly as it comes. Here's your meme of the day. It's hilarious to see us next to each other. We've always had a really good relationship, though. Stocking Stouffer. Do you wear Harley Davidson shirts every day and talk about deer hunting and deer jerky and ginsenging and moonshine? And that's my brother right there. NASCAR and Kentucky basketball. He's really into the beer too. I used to. Because my dad and my brother were into it, I watch NASCAR and so I could, bond with them. See, I didn't go with any kind of political statement or anything. I didn't go with some kind of deep, meaningful meme. No. Stocking stuffers. Because it's Christmas and we all deserve a break, even though I'm getting ready to hit you with some, horrific news. Because that's what we do around here. But we'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll get mad. It'll be a wild ride. And then we'll watch some Christmas television specials. What are we going to talk about tonight? Oh, yeah, we got protests in New Zealand. Haitian gangs attacked journalists trying to cover the reopening of a hospital, the nation's only hospital. Another jet. We covered the jet that got hit by friendly fire. Apparently, another jet almost got hit by friendly fire. Speaking of jets, the FAA grounded a whole bunch of flights today. I can imagine there's a whole lot of people that are really mad about their travel arrangements today. I saw that when I woke up this morning and went, holy shit. Of all the days, today. Good luck. Bill Clinton was released from the hospital today, apparently suffering from flu-like symptoms. Joe Biden muted a bunch of sentences of people, including people that were on death row. A Florida sheriff is upset about Joe Biden commuting the sentences of people. The Matt Gaetz report got released. Probably the only reason I'm doing news tonight is because the Matt Gaetz report got released. Now, there's other things I wanted to talk about. Ow, shit! Hit my knee on the desk. My apologies. We're going to talk about the migrant who was arrested for apparently setting a woman on fire on a New York subway. A homeless man beat up a cop. A cop in a North Carolina Food Lion was shot and killed. We got a hilarious video of what happened to traffic during a reporter's live shot out in California. A boat exploded in Florida. Stunning video of a Hawaiian volcano erupting. I don't know if I've got the gist of this story right, but it has something to do with Christmas weed. We're going to talk about Christmas weed. We're going to check in with our good buddy Luigi. Got updates on the Brian Kohberger murder trial in Idaho. And we're going to update you on both the Amazon and the Starbucks strikes going on currently. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Speaking of Christmas weed, light one up, tip one back. Get yourself in a state of merriment for this Christmas Eve. Also, I was smoking with the chat before we came on. I have concentrate in this bowl, so I was starting to talk stupid. That's why. Hold on, let me rephrase that. If I start to talk more stupider than usual, oh my God. I see my eyes in the camera right now. Holy shit. I only hit it again because it's still going. It's still kind of smoldering right now. I'm trying to put it out. Stop that. Yeah, I'll save you for later. Oh, fuck. The smoke is still going up in front of the camera. Josephus, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Oh my God. Okay, I'll hit you again. Holy shit, this is not gonna be good. I mean, I'm gonna be stoned. I'm not gonna be good at doing the news. But it's Christmas. All I want for Christmas is the news. Let's start off tonight with the thing that is on everybody's mind. This is Christmas Eve. What that Santa Claus be doing? Where's the map? He's apparently in Brazil. I don't know if he's flying over water or some shit. This is the Santa tracker via NORAD. We will be checking in with it throughout the night, seeing exactly where Santa Claus is. Apparently last seen in Brazil, heading for French Guiana. Set to arrive in French Guiana in 4.5 minutes. Kris Kringle making his way across the planet, giving out toys to all the good little girls, boys, and those that don't even fit into the binary. Get triggered about it. Fucking Santa. He has already made his way through New Zealand, which is where we're going to first, where protests are erupting following a rightward shift in the New Zealand government.
Long been known for its progressive policies, including efforts to correct and address historical wrongs against its indigenous Maori population. But as Ali Rogan reports, a new right-wing government has reversed many of those policies and triggered mass protests in the Pacific nation.
That's usually how it goes. There's a backlash.
They marched for 9 days
to progress every time.
And through the rain, carrying portraits of generations past and the flag symbolizing their right to self-determination. Protesters from New Zealand's native Maori community walked alongside non-Indigenous New Zealanders to form what's thought to be the largest march in the nation's history. The peaceful show of force culminated last month in the capital, Wellington, outside Parliament. At the protest's heart, a bill proposing changes to New Zealand's founding document, the Treaty of Waitangi, or Te Tiriti o Waitangi.
To safeguard, to honour, to protect Te Tiriti o Waitangi.
Why are we doing this? Why are we bringing a bill in when there is already a foundational document in there?
Signed in 1840, the treaty helped establish New Zealand's first colonial government and promised land and other rights to Maori.
The Treaty of Waitangi is certainly seen as being part of our constitution.
Dr. Carwyn Jones, a Maori legal expert, says for more than a century, the government mostly ignored the native rights set out in the treaty, pushing many Maori off their ancestral lands and into poverty.
The column now seems to number
sounds familiar.
4,000 people.
But decades of activism has led to increased treaty recognition in New Zealand law and policy. Today, the treaty is interpreted as a partnership between the government and its native people, who make up almost 1/5 of the country's population.
What that's meant in terms of the courts is that government has an obligation to act as a treaty partner, to act with utmost good faith and reasonably towards the other treaty partner, with Maori.
That's led to legal acknowledgement of some Maori rights, such as land rights, services that address Maori socioeconomic disadvantage, and official status for the Maori language.
I mean, let's be clear, there's a strong depth of emotion on all sides of this debate.
That progress, many believe, is threatened by last year's election of the most conservative government New Zealand has seen in generations, a coalition of 3 parties led by former airline executive Christopher Luxon.
It is one of the most anti-Māori governments we've seen in a long time. And this is a first government in a long time which is deliberately rolling back on those rights and taking us backwards in that respect.
In the last year, the government has shut down an agency that addressed Maori health disparities, made it more difficult for local governments to have dedicated Maori representation, and scaled back the use of the Maori language by government departments. But most controversially,
Christopher Luxon, you are presiding over the most racist piece of legislation in 100 years.
It helped introduce a bill into Parliament that would fundamentally change how the treaty is interpreted.
Well, my bill would replace those principles of so-called partnership that have been invented by the courts over the last 50 years and say, no. For the most part, people would have equal rights before the law in New Zealand.
David Seymour, who himself has Maori ancestry, leads the right-wing ACT Party and is the architect of the legislation that would effectively remove some Maori rights recognized in the treaty.
This bill, as a matter of fact, takes nothing away from anybody unless you're one of those people who believe that you should have special rights over and above others as a consequence of your birth and your ancestry. And we just reject that.
The reaction was loud, swift, and viral. When some Maori lawmakers, led by the country's youngest member of parliament, Hana Rafiti Maipi Clark, launched into a haka, a ceremonial dance, in protest.
When we saw her do that, we were all immensely proud and knew she was doing the exact right thing on behalf of all of us.
Kessie Hartendorp is a Maori activist who helped organize the largest petition against the bill and attended the protests outside Parliament.
Get people signing up to make submissions against the Treaty Principles Bill.
She says removing unique Maori rights ignores the historic disadvantages her community has experienced.
We die younger, we're more likely to be locked up in prison, we have every negative health statistic you can imagine.
Sounds familiar.
We do not live equal lives. We have not been afforded equality. So to now be told that our sovereignty is standing in the way of supposed equality is just a lie.
In a recent poll, more New Zealanders said they opposed the bill than supported it, but most said they don't know enough about it. Many legal experts, including at New Zealand's Ministry of Justice, say the law could throw the country into a constitutional crisis.
It would effectively be the end of the treaty relationship. If you undermine that relationship, then you actually start to take away the legitimacy of government. You start to erode social cohesion if you are not willing to give effect to a recognised Māori rights or to act in partnership with Māori.
Prime Minister Luxon has said he only promised to support the bill through the first stage of review and that his party will not vote for its passage.
Treaty issues are complex. They've been negotiated, debated, discussed over 184 years. It's simplistic to assume that you can, through the stroke of a pen,
always white people,
resolve all of that.
While this law is likely doomed, after a year of rollbacks of Maori rights, many fear what will come next.
What is it with fucking white people?
Is stripping back Indigenous rights.
Can I say that?
Raft of laws. My concern for the future is that a far-right populist will grow in nature to be able to strip us of the sovereignty that we were guaranteed to those 200 years ago. Therefore, we need to make sure that we keep this up and make sure that they stick to their word.
Energy Flow, good evening.
An ongoing battle over New Zealand's past in order to define its future. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Allie Rogan.
Yeah, it don't matter that I'm white, like, you know. It's just whenever white people seem to stick their nose into places where they don't actually belong, It fucks shit up. Speaking of which, let's go to Haiti, where gangs attacked a set of journalists that were covering the attempted reopening of the country's main hospital. This is in Port-au-Prince. I'm gonna assume somebody died in this attack. Technically, this is the French. We certainly haven't helped in the last century. But it's like originally on the French. Suspected gang members opened fire on journalists in Haiti's capital on Tuesday as they covered the attempted reopening of the... That's all we know. That's all we know. We don't really have any other details. Everyone needs to stop fucking with Haiti. If you don't fuck with Haiti, help Haiti. Actually help Haiti. Don't say you're helping Haiti and then use it as money laundering or some shit like that. That's a problem that the U.S. has really bad. If the alternative is to do nothing to that, then yeah, do nothing.
At Fox News, Lucas Tomlinson, correspondent there, he has quite a bit of a reporting here. This is an exclusive to Fox. He has it, that a second U.S. Navy fighter jet narrowly avoided being shot down in quote-unquote friendly fire incident when a second missile passed within 100 feet, according to a source there. So we want to talk about this even further with our friend, national security analyst and expert and Marine intelligence officer, Hal Kempfer. He joins me. Hal, thanks for being with us here on this Christmas Eve. We wanted to get you on with this story. I have more of the reporting in front of me here, and I want to read it. So this is exclusive to Fox. Lucas reporting on the same night, a U.S. Navy fighter jet was shot down over the Red Sea. A second jet nearly suffered the same fate. An FA-18
friendly fire
Hornet, flying a few miles behind the Hornet that was shot down, was forced to take evasive maneuvers after a second surface-to-air missile was fired from the cruiser, the USS Gettysburg, narrowly missing the second jet by 100 feet while preparing to land aboard the aircraft carrier, the Harry S. Truman, there in the Middle East.
Best military in the world.
You know, how often does this happen? Does this happen more often than we know about? A second instance on the very same occasion, almost, very, very close.
Andrew, as far as I know, something like this involving F-18 aircraft and involving aircraft altogether is pretty rare. Frankly, I'm scratching my head if I can find a similar situation. Now, certainly if you go back to World War II, where you had these huge air fights, these air battles going over carrier task forces, you know, yes, of course, there could have been some friendly fire incidents, and I don't think those were very well recorded back then. But they didn't have all the sophisticated systems, all the, identification of friend or foe systems that we have built into the technology these days. So it's really questionable. Now, what's coming out on this is that the Gettysburg had recently gone through a retrofit, if you will, an upgrade of its electronic systems to include its air defense system. That could be part of it. It could be some glitch in there. What we're hearing informally is that the pilots, or maybe the command of the Harry S. Truman, the aircraft carrier, believe that there may have been
I got a Harry Truman for you.
With the Gettysburg crew, and that may be responsible for what happened. But what happened was, apparently they took two F-18s under fire the same night, approximately the same time. The first one it sounds like, and
friendly fire.
Still more information flowing in on this, may have been engaged in doing what's called a tanker operation. The FA-18 can be actually fitted with 480-gallon fuel pods with a hose that basically can fuel up another aircraft aloft. And it was coming in.
I've played Top Gun.
Information's kind of rough, but it may have been coming in to land on the Truman when it was taken under fire. And that missile that took down the first aircraft, that the pilot and the weapons officer in the back literally punched out of the aircraft seconds before it was hit. I mean, it was like within a few seconds. And so they survived. The second aircraft was taken under fire, and the Gettysburg had to disable the guidance system on, and they have a way that they can do that electronically, on the missile itself, and that missile missed the second aircraft by 100 feet.
Yeah.
This is just I have to tell you, in terms of airspace control,
okay,
this is a catastrophic failure.
So, Hal, what's the after action on this? Who's held
I'm
responsible?
shutting Hal up. He's boring. They should be playing the Benny Hill music as they're launching their missiles. PP girl. Let's check in again with the NORAD tracker. Merry Christmas. Then the last scene in Georgetown, Guyana, heading for San Fernando, Trinidad and Tobago. Apparently getting here in 3 seconds. Looks like he's still over water. Where is Trinidad and Tobago? Are they just so small of an island that we can't see them? There's a marker down there somewhere. Wow, I didn't know they were that fucking small. Headed for St. George's, Gahada, Kingstown, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. Still, we can't see. They're such small islands. How is he a creepy fuck? He's a jolly motherfucker that brings you presents. How are you calling him creepy? That's why you ain't getting no presents tonight, M-Lord. Santa ain't gonna be visiting you. Speaking of visiting, a lot of people not visiting the family or friends that they thought they would be. Following a huge snafu with the airlines, the FAA grounding multiple American Airlines flights.
Travel setback impacting millions of people trying to get home in time for Christmas and Hanukkah. Just a few hours ago, the FAA issued and then lifted a nationwide ground stop for American Airlines after a technical issue. Take a look at these planes outside their gates. This is at Charlotte International Airport in North Carolina.
And this was the line at the American Airlines check-in area at O'Hare in Chicago this morning. According to the latest information from FlightAware, there are major delays at airports all across the United States. All of this happening as winter weather alerts are in effect from the mid-Atlantic to New England.
Ouch.
And they could seriously impact holiday travel plans. We have you covered from all angles. Meteorologist Bill Cairns is standing by with the forecast, but we're going to begin with
fuck you from all angles.
Adrian brought us at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Adrian, the American Airlines issue that happened on a day when AAA is predicting there will be record-breaking travel numbers, right? So how did people react to that situation at O'Hare? And what are you seeing at the airport right now?
Damn.
And I'll take your second question first. Right now, even though that ground stop only lasted about an hour, we're seeing the ripple effect of what happened this morning. And we are talking about delays. For example, a flight that was supposed to leave earlier this morning going to Charlotte delayed for about an hour. Another flight to Atlanta, nearly 90 minutes. And some
I'm sure this didn't just affect American.
Denver, their flight is now delayed by 2 hours. American Airlines releasing a statement saying in part it apologizes for the inconvenience, also saying all hands are on deck and their teams are working diligently trying to get people to where they need to go. They say a vendor technology issue briefly caused that disruption earlier this morning. We did catch up with some travelers, spoke with a gentleman just moments ago who says he's heading to Los Angeles, California. This morning, he described it as a roller coaster because initially he received an alert saying his flight was canceled, then it was back on. Take a listen.
It's very irritating because it's hard to plan. So cars that were scheduled had to be rescheduled. And the cost of Ubers is skyrocketing. So it was a little difficult, but.
And for those of you who may be wondering, that technology issue impacted the information to get flights off the ground. Not what people need.
If they're going home, like a week from now, it should be fine.
Adrian, we know weather is also impacting travel
This
on the
could
roads,
be
rails,
fucked up for the next few days.
Talk to people, though, who obviously they're determined to reach their destinations. People want to see their family and loved ones. What should they be expecting today and gearing up for today?
Well, you know what, Vicki, we've been here at the airport for days, and I can tell you, even just kind of piggybacking and going back to the American Airlines situation, yesterday American Airlines said they had the most flights, 6,400. They're expecting less flights today, about 3,900 flights for their passengers, for folks passing through O'Hare.
I guess that makes sense. Yesterday would be the most
Make sure you
hectic
have
day
items in your carry-on bag that are allowed to go through the security checkpoints and show up early.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about
Shut up, Lester.
Stories on the end.
The 26th also going to be one of the busiest travel days, I'm sure. Bill Clinton was released from the hospital. I don't hate Lester. Let's make that perfectly clear. I don't hate Lester. Just want him to shut up.
Clinton is out of the hospital after being taken there with a fever and treated for the flu. That's according to his deputy chief of staff. The former president's aide says he was admitted to a hospital in Washington, D.C. yesterday for testing and observation. Joining me now, correspondent Julie Sirkin in Washington and NBC News medical analyst Dr. Vin Gupta is with us as well. Julie, I'll start.
Yeah, I would fuck him.
Attention, right? The former president is 78. He has some medical history that most of us are aware of. What more are we learning about what happened?
Justin, good evening.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up that context because that is why we're paying attention, of course. Even yesterday when an aide to President Clinton said that he went to the hospital, they said that this wasn't urgent, that he had a fever and he wanted to undergo some tests. And obviously from that statement this morning, we know now that he is home, that he has been discharged, and that he is in good spirits. You mentioned that medical history, and it's important to talk about because when the 42nd president left office in 2001, he was hospitalized several times. He had 2 heart surgeries. You see that there on your screen. And then before this hospitalization, he was hospitalized for 6 days back in 2021 for a
God, he looks rough.
So obviously important to pay attention to this. We're glad that he's doing well now. He has been in all year long. He was stumping on the campaign trail.
Speak for yourself, ma'am.
Who of course became the Democratic nominee after President Biden dropped out. And we did see him speak at the Democratic National Convention in August, as he has every 4 years since 1970.
I think he could be a rapist.
There, saying he doesn't know how many more of these he can attend. But all in all, of course, he released this year as well. And in that statement today, Clinton did say, according to his aide, that he wishes everyone a happy and healthy holiday season. Kate?
All right, that's a good way to end. Thank you. Let me turn to Dr. Gupta. So we spoke yesterday about flu being on the rise in the U.S. Given the former president's health history,
not just flu.
Concerning that he had to go to the hospital for a fever?
Well, it does show, Kate, that he must have felt severe symptoms enough to want to at least get checked out, and it's illustrative to all our viewers that especially if you're medically higher risk, over 60, as we talked about yesterday, or with an underlying medical condition, it's important to get seen. So he did the right thing. He felt unwell, presumably had higher fevers, got tested, probably got early treatment. I'm sure.
I hope so, Dustin. I love Jimmy Carter.
Because early treatment is vital, Kate. And I'll just say,
I'm rooting for him.
Exposed over the holidays.
He's still going.
Has flu, but you're otherwise well. Talk to your provider about Tamiflu for prophylaxis. It's a thing that we do to prevent flu from setting in if you've been exposed.
They started end of life care 2 years ago.
Days probably, and lots of our older relatives might be in the room. How do we decrease the risk for everybody of flu?
I would say a flu specifically, all respiratory
Go
viruses.
breathe.
If you're traveling,
hug all your older relatives.
There's no reason not
breathe
to.
right on them.
It works. Hand hygiene is critical. All the things you and I have talked about the last 5 years, those things work. And it's not too late to get the flu vaccine. Really critical. And most especially if you're feeling unwell, that's when you want to put on a mask. That's when you want to try to avoid being around other people to minimize transmission.
All right, Dr. Vin Gupta, Julie Sirkin, thanks to you both.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. Masks, that's woke shit. Joe Biden commuted the sentence of a bunch of people that were on death row, even. 37 people on death row.
Moves against capital punishment. President Joe Biden has commuted the sentence of 37 of the 40 prisoners on federal death row. They will stay in prison for life, but will not be subject to execution. Biden's move is believed to have been driven in part by the incoming Trump administration and an expected hardline policy shift on federal executions. Following all this closely is Robin Marr. She's the executive director of the nonpartisan Death Penalty Information Center. Robin Marr, so nice to have you here.
It's great to be here.
This is a pretty significant move. I mean, one of the most significant by a president.
What you doing for Christmas, Robin?
Federal death row inmates. What do these commutations mean for death penalty cases overall?
Well, you're right. This is an historic decision. This is the largest mass clemency grant
Ignore Justin. Cancel Justin.
U.S. president since Lincoln, and the first in the modern death penalty era.
Oh, more.
There are 40 people on death row. 37 of them now will receive new sentences of life without the possibility of parole. And of course, there are about 2,100 people on state death rows throughout the country whose death sentences will not be affected by this decision. But, part of the motivation for President Biden today was recognizing the racial bias and the unfairness in some of these federal death sentences. And many of those criticisms ring true for the men and women on state death rows as well.
Who are those 37? Broadly speaking, I know it's a big group, but roughly speaking, who are those people whose sentences were commuted today?
Yeah, all of the men who will benefit from President Biden's decision today were sentenced to death decades ago, really in a very different era in our nation's history. This was a time of overzealous prosecutions and very harsh criminal justice penalties and policies that sent dozens of people to federal death rows for crimes they would not be federally prosecuted for today. So a very, very different time. And, the Department of Justice has recently looked at these policies and made some real changes to its prosecution policies, but none of those changes benefited the men on the federal death row. So that's why President Biden needed to make the decision he made today.
As I said, it's almost all 37 of 40. That leaves 3 behind. Who are those 3 that did not get their
sentences? Imagine being those 3.
Yeah, the 3 that did not get sentencing relief today were convicted of federal hate crimes or terrorism offenses.
Oh, good.
They include Dokar Tsarnaev, who was convicted of the Boston Marathon bombing, Dylan Roof, who was convicted of the hate crime of shooting in the Charleston church many years ago, and most recently Robert Bowers, who was convicted of targeting people at a Pittsburgh synagogue. All 3 of those men were convicted of crimes within the last...
Okay, what do you guys think? Those 3 specifically, they probably deserve to be put to death.
10 years, all 3 of them will remain on death row. The remaining 37 men will never be released from federal prison, but they will not be executed.
As you well know, President Biden has
oh my God, I left my tea in the kitchen.
History with the criminal justice system. He was principally responsible for the infamous crime bill back in the 1990s that many critics have said led to mass incarceration. He wanted to do more on the death penalty during his administration, but was not able to until today. Today he said this. I just want to read a quote that he said. I am more convinced than ever that we must stop the use of the death penalty at the federal level. In good conscience, I cannot stand back and let a new administration resume executions that I halted. Is that your sense that that's principally what's driving this?
Yeah, well, President Biden was once a very strong supporter of the death penalty, but his change of heart about this really began several years ago during the 2020 presidential campaign. You'll remember at that time we had just come out of this breathtaking execution spree where President Trump...
They make champagne and chocolate Eggo waffles?
...in just 6 months' time. So we were still reeling from that event, and I think he recognized at that point that the federal death penalty deserved his closer examination. I think he's looked at his conscience. I think he's looked at his own faith, and he most especially listened to the calls of many thousands of people who were asking him to make that decision.
Okay, did you just make chocolate Eggo waffles and pour champagne on them?
Ones to the men on the federal death row, crimes they committed, which was really incredibly powerful.
I know we can't.
Did you lie to me?
A future president would do, but is it your sense that when President Trump returns to the White House, that he would take up federal executions? Meaning, does it make sense in some way that Biden took this step today?
Well, I think some of what motivated President Biden was the urgency of this moment and the danger that those men were in. President Trump has promised to use the federal death penalty, to expand its use, and to resume federal executions. But what I hope is that this President Trump will not just...
Have you ever tried making your own waffles?
You know, as President Biden has shown us today, we can all learn from our mistakes and make better decisions in the future, and that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, Robin Marr of the Death Penalty Information Center, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Robin. On average, 4 wrongly convicted death row prisoners have been exonerated each year since 1973. I could never justify buying a waffle iron because there's only one thing you can do with it. Yeah, you can make some other things that you waffle, like, you know, you can make waffled mac and cheese or some shit like that. But ultimately, there's just not a lot you can do with it. It's not a utility, a utensil that you can use that has a lot of utility. A sheriff in Florida is upset about the pardons issued by Biden.
I want to read part of President Biden's statement here when he was saying that he was commuting 37 out of these 40 sentences. He said this in part, quote, "Make no mistake, I condemn these murderers, grieve for the victims of their despicable acts, and ache for all the families who have suffered unimaginable and irreparable loss." Then he added this, quote, "But guided by my conscience."
I think he should have I think the sheriff is for the other 3 to be let off.
Vice President and now President, I am more convinced than ever that we must stop the use of the death penalty at the federal level. What do you think of his statement?
So stop it. He didn't do that. He chose to leave a few people on death row. So if his policy and his stance was I'm against the death penalty and he commuted everybody, great. That's your right. That's the woke ideology that he has. That's not our ideology. He didn't do that.
Wait, what?
He didn't do what he said he did in there. If you go back to that, we could read another quote that he put in there that's just going to make your mind flip. On the first page, he believes that the Americans must stop the use of the death penalty at the federal level, except in cases of terrorism and hate-motivated mass murders. So it's a double-edged sword. You know, you can't have it one way and not the other.
Let's talk about that, because he did leave 3 people off, and those are the people responsible for the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, the Boston Marathon bombing, and the Charleston church shooting. So logistically, if
my bad on that, Prometheus.
That shouldn't be used at the federal level, why not commute everyone?
There you go. I mean, you said it yourself. You know, if that's just again, this goes right back to a ideology.
The way the
Americans didn't want.
The way the headline is worded.
The handcuffs are coming off law enforcement. The handcuffs are coming off prosecutors. They're going back on the criminals where they belong. And we're going to see the change that's much needed. And unfortunately, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more destruction from the Biden-Harris administration before they're out, January 20th. So it's just terrible that these families, especially, they chose to do this right before Christmas. I mean, they're sitting around the Christmas table. I saw you nodding. They're sitting around the Christmas tree as a family, and they have to now remember this. Just be reminded that those pieces of shit that went after and killed
those pieces of shit
innocent children now are going to be another Christmas for them to breathe, another Christmas for them to go out and I'm sure they're just going to send more frivolous motions in to now get their sentence commuted down even lower. But again, if anyone deserves to die,
but who?
We have a personal connection with these two individuals. It's those two individuals that committed those heinous crimes. I don't even want to say
two individuals.
This isn't a third world country where there's bodies hanging from the bridges to send a message to criminal organizations that they're tough on, that they're to be feared. This is America, and this sort of behavior should.
You want to hang bodies?
The citizens in our community, a jury of their peers, said they deserve to die for their actions, and that's exactly what should have happened.
I'm kind of confused as to exactly what his stance was. Somebody who's been naughty this year, who I know Santa is not going to be visiting. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz. The House Ethics Committee finally releasing the report.
The House Ethics Committee has just released its report on former Congressman Matt Gaetz. According to the report, the committee found substantial evidence that Gaetz had sex with a 17-year-old in 2017 in violation of Florida's statutory rape law and engaged in a broader pattern of paying women for sex. ABC's investigative reporter Olivia Rubin joins me for more on this. Olivia, what sticks out to you from this final report?
That's what we knew, right?
Well, the details about that alleged sexual encounter, which the committee says that they have substantial evidence to support with the 17-year-old girl. Specifically, in this report that's been released, she is identified only as victim A. And the committee says based on her own testimony, in part, is how they were able to substantiate this. It occurred at a party in Florida in 2017. The woman told the committee that she was absolutely sure of her sexual interaction with Gaetz at that time. That she had just completed her junior year of high school, Diane, and that she was under the influence of drugs at that party, and that she saw Matt Gaetz himself doing drugs at that party. So it sort of also feeds into that larger narrative that the committee details in this report about Matt Gaetz's drug use, that they say they were able to substantiate. There's multiple women in this report sitting in front of me.
Not the statutory rape. That's not cool.
Had seen Matt Gaetz personally doing drugs, and they also sort of document, Diane, these larger payments that Gaetz made to women, sometimes in cash, sometimes like
drugs,
PayPal, Venmo, of course, which ABC has reported thanks to Will Staken, and they have this chart in here, Diane, where they say it summarizes payments made by Gaetz or his associate to women. It totals nearly $100,000, Diane, from the years 2017
Marilyn Manson should do a Christmas album.
There's 12 women in here, as well as Joel Greenberg, nearly $100,000 in payments that they say.
Am I high, or is that $1 million idea? I think it's a multi-million-dollar idea, bitches. It'll make Marilyn Manson relevant again. Marilyn Manson Christmas album coming in 2025. I'm gonna make it happen.
They believe was related to sexual activity or drug use, though they have some caveats that they're not able to substantiate all of those payments. They do have reason to believe that that was for the illicit activity. So a really in-depth, sort of scathing look here, Diane.
And Olivia, last week, Gaetz released a statement saying in part, quote, "It's embarrassing, though not criminal, that I probably partied, womanized, drank, and smoked more than I should have earlier in life. I live a different life now." Now, he was trying to fight the release of this report. Now that it's out, what do you think this means for his career going forward?
Well, you know, it certainly seemed to have derailed his possibility of becoming the Attorney General. Of course, he withdrew his name amidst these allegations. And he is right, you know, that it wasn't, at least in the Department of Justice investigation, found to be criminal. They did not end up bringing charges against him. So
oh my God.
Seeing what happens with his career. He resigned because he was expected to become Attorney General. That, of course, did not happen. So he's no longer a congressman. Part of the reason that he was fighting the release of the report in that court document, saying, you know, he's a private citizen now, and the committee had
he's gonna be a media figure now.
This report, of course, that was unsuccessful because now here we're talking about it. So interesting to see where he goes next here.
Newsmax, OAN, that's what I'm guessing.
Derailed his plans.
All right, investigative reporter Olivia Rubin. Olivia, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's bring in ABC News senior Washington reporter.
He paid $90,000 to 12 different women. Some of you might not be getting your packages if you ordered from Amazon. 80 packages were found in Massachusetts.
688 M1. M1. Can you put me out at Warren Trask? Got like a bunch of, looks like undelivered Amazon bundles here.
You just hit the jackpot, son.
Terrific.
Can you imagine what all's in that basket?
So are you anywhere near the station?
Basket?
To grab one of the F-150s?
Yeah, I'm over there, Heritage. I'll pop in there and grab one of them.
Can you imagine?
All right, I'll
the Christmas presents.
Yeah, if you could meet
in that fucking
we gotta get this
in
stuff
that
back
basket.
It's not gonna fit in my car.
Wide variety of a whole bunch of shit. You got some high-end electronics. You got toys, jewelry, kitchenware. Sex toys. I mean, we're talking packages. The 22nd, the 23rd. The jackpot. Oh, is it, yeah, this is just the body cam footage here. I thought we were gonna get the story. I believe the worker did indeed say the stress got to them. We're just watching cops pick up packages now. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh.
You want to bring these back to the Amazon at Middleborough?
Well, I don't know if they came from there. So,
well, yeah, I just don't want.
Cops are doing deliveries now.
So I think it's gonna be. I'd rather just at least get it into the station and try to kind of log it. I guess maybe. Hold on. Notorious Ford problem. Yeah, dude.
I want the news story on this. Just watching the.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Jordan Jaggelinzer with a WBZ News update. A state police trooper suspended without pay after being accused of stealing $1,000 of merchandise from Targets in Millbury and Worcester. Police say Zachariah Kent used a scheme called skip scanning. That's when someone uses the self-checkout option and avoids scanning some of the items. New vending machines installed across Boston could help prevent deadly opioid overdoses. The city just unveiled 4 machines at local shelters and medical facilities that dispense the overdose reversal drug naloxone, fentanyl test strips, and safe injection kits. Police say an Amazon driver left 80 packages on the side of the road in Lakeville because they were stressed. A sergeant found the boxes early Sunday morning. Yesterday, the driver stopped by the police department to explain what happened. That driver is not facing charges. Amazon says customers should get their orders soon if they haven't already. Let's get a check of your next weather forecast with meteorologist Jason.
Others might not be receiving their Amazon packages because Amazon workers be going on strike, especially if you're out in California.
Amazon delivery drivers still on strike with just 2 days until Christmas. Fox Business's Madison Allworth joins us live now.
Wait a minute, that isn't Maria Bartiromo.
Madison.
Good morning, Jerry. It has slightly warmed up here in Massachusetts, New York. It is now 12 degrees, and it is day 5 of the Amazon strike. We have the folks behind me. These are Teamster drivers contracted through a party to drive for Amazon. They're demanding that Amazon sit down with the Teamsters to negotiate a contract. They say they're going to go as long as it takes.
Her hair is so cool.
Away from Christmas. This, though, is the smallest group I've seen here in Queens, but this weekend that was a different story. We actually saw the strike expand. Taking a look at that map, when we started this strike, it was 7 locations across the U.S. Over the weekend, another location in California, as well as Staten Island, was added into the mix. Now, these folks, as I mentioned, they want Amazon to sit down with the Teamsters to negotiate a contract, acknowledge their union, and then negotiate a contract with benefits, pay, guaranteed income. Amazon has held firm. They say they have no intention of sitting down with the Teamsters because in their they don't employ anyone that is represented by the union. I want to bring in one of the striking workers here. Christopher, thanks for taking the time. So I was here on Thursday. You've been here since the start, but this is the smallest I've seen the group. Weather is not in your favor, but is enthusiasm waning? We're just 2 days away from Christmas. Why are there so few people out here?
I mean, people going in, people got to take a break. We're back out here. I've been here. I was here all day yesterday. Came back out today, 6 o'clock. I'm fighting for everybody out here. We're all fighting for the same cause.
And so we are now 2 days away from Christmas. It's the Teamsters position. You guys are going to be out here until Amazon meets your demands. But obviously, there's a lot of leverage ahead of the holiday. That's when everyone's thinking about the shipping. Are you worried? We're getting closer to Christmas, but Amazon has not really budged.
I'm not really worried. There's going to be a time that they're going to have to negotiate with us one way or another. They don't like that we're Amazon employees, but we're Amazon employees and we're out here.
And as I mentioned, over the weekend, the strike did.
I mean, they don't like employees anyway.
What is the enthusiasm? What's the communication been nationwide? Are you seeing this as a growing movement? Are you guys convincing some of these drivers that are driving off the lot to join?
We're absolutely convincing drivers as they come in from their routes. But this is global. This is worldwide. From Europe to the United States. We're going to hit them.
There's an upswell.
I know there was a chant earlier. Santa Claus is not coming to town this year. You guys did add in because of Amazon. What is your message to people at home that are worried about their packages being delayed because of these strikes?
She basically asked that, Prometheus.
In our shoes, we're out here. We're fighting for something. We're tired of being abused and slaves. Slavery ended a long time ago. So I'm
Libertad. Good evening. Merry Christmas.
Everything goes back to normal.
And obviously, guys are looking for better pay, a better, a contract. So what are you doing these days that you've been striking? You're not driving, so how are you surviving?
I make ends meet, one way or another. I have 3 kids at home.
I hustle.
For them. So, whatever I can do legally, I'll do.
What, again, just to wrap it up, what are you guys looking for as drivers that are striking? What are you asking of Amazon?
This man don't wrap it up. That's why he has 3 kids.
Benefits, safety, those are 2 things that Amazon doesn't give us.
Sorry.
I've been hurt multiple times on the job, and enough is enough.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Very nice to meet you. Thanks for taking the time. So, I mean, it's been the same thing that we've been hearing from 6 a.m. Thursday. These drivers, they're willing to stay out here as long as it takes. The countdown is on. Christmas is just days away.
I was going to leave, but I kind of think she's cute.
As I noted, Jerry, this is the smallest I've seen since it started on Thursday, but as
I want to rub my hands through her hair.
Jerry, I'll send it back to you.
Well, Madison,
that's probably creepy of me.
Than you, because you're out there.
Cancel Justin. Maria Bartiromo really changed.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
What the fuck happened to her?
You heard from this worker saying that, look, Amazon is going to have to negotiate with us. EJ, is that actually true?
I don't think so.
This is a different Maria.
I was just saying, these are not actually employees of Amazon. You have third-party contractors involved here, and so they'll likely, Amazon will likely either be able to get other contractors, or the contractors
Look at this ghoul.
will be able to get other drivers.
Who the hell is this?
So I'm not sure the strikers actually have a
Heritage Foundation.
The other thing is, I think the strikers need to realize they're really misdirecting their anger here.
That makes sense.
They need higher pay today. The reason that their wages don't go as far as they used to is because of the inflationary mess that we have.
The Heritage Foundation economist.
DC, and also the reason why their benefit packages are so expensive is because of the regulatory disaster. Again, out of DC. It is government overregulation that has made things like healthcare in this country so outrageously expensive. And if you could simply roll back,
which also means he has to
regulations, you would therefore roll back the cost to these American workers.
Breed the kids to make sure they have kids.
Jonathan,
so they can miscarriage.
I don't think that striker made a very compelling case. There are a lot of people out there that are in his situation.
He has food,
and they're not going to have presents for their kids on Christmas morning, which is certainly going to hurt these strikers' cause, at least with the broader public at large. I think EJ's point is really good, as with the fact that these are contractors, so they're not really employees, although there's a lot of talk.
Oh, shut this motherfucker up. We're done with your bullshit. We're not done with striking, though. Striking is in vogue. Starbucks workers.
Season to go on strike in some big cities. Hundreds of Amazon drivers have been walking Teamsters picket lines since last week. And now thousands of Starbucks baristas have walked off the job. Carter Evans looks at the demands of the coffee servers who say they need higher pay.
Fuck yeah, they do.
1, 2, 3, 4, Starbucks, we won't take no more.
Just days before Christmas, Starbucks baristas walked off the job, expanding a 5-day strike to 12.
Apparently, I don't either, Dustin.
According to the union, Starbucks Workers United.
No contract, no coffee.
You should be able to afford rent, food, and health care.
Yes.
It started with just a handful of locations, but the number of striking Starbucks workers has been increasing every day. Now, instead of serving coffee, baristas from more than 60 locations are on the picket line. Workers say they're not making enough to be able to live comfortably in the cities where they're employed.
I have many coworkers who are struggling to afford their rent at the end of the month, or having to choose between rent, groceries, and their regular bills.
Workers United, which has unionized more than 500 Starbucks stores, says Starbucks proposed an economic package without an immediate wage increase and a guaranteed raise of only 1.5% in future years. Starbucks says Workers United prematurely ended a bargaining session this week. In a statement, the coffee giant says the union is calling for an immediate 64% minimum wage increase, followed by a 77% increase over a 3-year period.
Hell yeah.
Quote, this is not sustainable.
I'm fortunate enough to have a job where I have 100 chances a day to make a person smile. But when I'm understaffed, when I'm stressed, I can't do that.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Carter Evans.
And that is top of mind for a lot of people, including the two of you who get your morning Starbucks, like, religiously. Yep.
Absolutely.
It really is. I mean,
what's wrong with you?
Who are out there, they need that way.
Get better tasting coffee.
Yeah.
Dunkin' is better than Starbucks, or at least is a better value. I went to an Ingles the other day and they had a Starbucks. I really wanted a coffee. So I got one. It was $6.50, $6.70, something like that. I'm like, God damn.
In the investigation of University of Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger.
Oh my God.
Body camera footage.
Oh, I always get a white chocolate mocha. And I think I asked for raspberry, but they said they didn't have raspberry anymore. And I was like, God damn, no raspberry? I like a white chocolate mocha.
Obtained by ABC News shows police responding to an alleged home invasion 1 year before the murders, less than 10 miles from the off-campus home where 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed.
Wait, did everybody catch that?
Police, it was about. This morning, a new twist in the investigation of University of Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger.
Oh my God.
Body camera footage obtained by ABC News shows police responding to an alleged home invasion 1 year before the murders, less than 10 miles from the off-campus home where 4 University of Idaho students were stabbed to death. The woman tells police it was about 3:30 a.m. when a masked intruder entered her bedroom in Pullman, Washington, holding a knife.
I heard my door open, and I looked over, and someone was wearing a ski mask and had a knife. And so I, kicked the out of their stomach and screamed super loud, and they, flew back into my closet and then ran out my door and up the stairs.
Wow.
The police report, she said the suspect was silent the whole time, and while one of her roommates quickly called police, officers found no suspect or evidence. Months later, Kohberger was arrested for the stabbing deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madden Mogan,
Wait, why do we think it was him?
and Chapin in Moscow, Idaho, where the killer also allegedly had a knife, wore a mask, entered the home in the early morning hours, and was silent as he left. 13 days later, Kohberger was named a person of interest in the Pullman case.
When you look at the Idaho murders, one of the things that detectives and agents did almost immediately is, are there other cases in the area that might have some similarities? For example, fingerprints, DNA, hair samples, anything that you could either biologically or genetically or fingerprint-wise link the suspect to that particular burglary.
But according to the report, the woman described the Pullman suspect as 5'3" to 5'5".
Oh.
Kohberger is 6 feet tall. The report also reveals
a big
Kohberger,
discrepancy.
a Pennsylvania resident, was not yet enrolled at Washington State University, nor was he visiting the campus as a prospective graduate student. Pullman police tell ABC News Kohberger is no longer a person of interest in the break-in, adding, "We have no reason or evidence
Wow.
he was involved in this burglary."
Really buried the lead there, didn't we?
Is now closed, but remains unsolved. Now, with Kohberger's murder trial slated to start in August, questions are growing about whether the defense will try to use that to raise doubt.
Without a doubt, Bryan Kohberger's defense team is going to try to raise reasonable doubt by pointing to an alternative suspect. In using this alleged burglary, the question becomes, why would a judge admit this evidence where nothing about this case tends to prove that Bryan Kohberger was not the murderer?
I still don't know what to believe with this one. We're gonna see how this pans out. I do know what to believe with this one, and we're definitely rooting on Luigi Mangione. His lawyers laying it to the prosecution, to the mayor, for all grandstanding.
Well, to New York City and the arraignment of the man accused of shooting United Healthcare CEO
happened
Brian
yesterday.
Thompson. 26-year-old Luigi Mangione pleaded not guilty to 11 state murder and terrorism charges. In fact, this is one of 2 proceedings that Mangione faces in the coming days, with the federal charges including the possibility of death. Now, Mangione will be back in court February 21st. So let's bring in CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano. Lilia, you were in the courtroom for Mangione's arguments and arraignment. Paint a picture of what you saw.
Hey there, Reed. Good to hear you. Mangione today, as he did
Not enough cops around him.
in federal court, showed up not dressed in the prison jumpsuit, but dressed in khaki pants, a button-down white shirt covered by a sweater, this time burgundy. As you might have seen and are seeing in the images, he was calm. He was not looking around. He was listening intently to the attorneys who were sitting on either side. The attorneys who are representing him are a married couple. There's Mark Agnifilo, who is also representing Puff Daddy P. Diddy, and Karen Friedman Agnifilo,
Puff Daddy P. Diddy,
today, as she did last week, was pushing back against what she has called highly unusual moves made by the federal and the state prosecutors. What she laid out today was what she called, what she said was a spectacle.
This is not going to end before the 20th of next month.
City, that NYPD, and especially Mayor Eric Adams, is the way that
Graham, good evening.
Case.
Of course he's going to plead not guilty.
deployment of officials, of heavily armed guards, of the mayor basically parading next to him when Mangione was brought from Pennsylvania.
My friend, if you are ever accused of anything, you need to plead not guilty. Even if you are guilty as fuck, you plead not guilty and you talk to a lawyer. American legal system 101. You are confronted by the cops, you shut the fuck up. You say, I am invoking my Fifth Amendment right, and I would like to speak to an attorney. I do not answer questions without an attorney. And then you shut the fuck up. They take you to court like 2 or 3 days later. You plead not guilty. Fuck, so when I got arrested the first time when I was 18, my dumbass pleaded guilty. 'Cause I was. No, I should have pled not guilty. My dad about kicked my ass like, oh, we get you a lawyer, you get out of it. No biggie. And I had connections. The dumbass, I wanted to plead guilty and hope nobody found out. But because I had connections, everybody found out.
To New York City, surrounded by the NYPD and then handed over to the FBI. What his attorney is arguing is she's saying these are...
That was dumb.
She made sure to...
Always plead not guilty.
Mayor Eric Adams' own legal cases and saying more than anyone, he understands the presumption of innocence and due process. She says that her client is not being treated fairly, that there are warring accusations between the federal charges, which I might remind you are charges that include murder and stalking, which have a maximum...
You can always negotiate.
Capital punishment of the death penalty.
Negotiate your sentence.
And then in New York, in the state criminal court, he's facing first-degree murder, which is also a very high bar.
Lenny, good evening.
Prosecutors for the district attorney of New York to prove, according to what he told me directly in a press conference last week, is it's rare for that district attorney's office to charge people with first-degree murder, that those are charges that...
I hope you didn't order anything from Amazon.
Serial killers, for people who kill police officers, and in this case, for people accused of terrorism. So those charges, first-degree murder in connection to terrorism. There's also second-degree murder and a long list. It's 11 in total on the federal side.
He's dreamy.
4 in total, I'm sorry, on the state side, and 4 in total on the federal side. What his defense is saying is, look, they are conflicting with each other. There's an odd coordination here. There was a political. They were playing ping pong, is how she described it.
Yep.
How she characterized it today with my client, who's not being allowed a fair trial. Inside the courtroom, just to add a little bit of what I observed, sitting behind us in the media were...
Yeah, this was the arraignment on the state charges. I don't think he should face any federal charges. I don't understand it.
Mangione, given that some of them were outside, and when we walked outside first and after, there were protesters chanting in favor of Luigi Mangione, people who are using this opportunity to bring light and bring attention to unfair practices in the healthcare industry, and many of them very much in support of Mangione. He remained calm, he pleaded not guilty, and then he was taken away by court officers.
I want to run my hands through his hair as well.
Lilia Luciano, thank you so much. So Lilia brings up some interesting legal points there. So let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levison. Jessica,
What's up with this dude? He's got like the sweater vest on, giving you the news on CBS. Who does he think he is? You think he's JustinFREAKIN on the Troll Patrol? Gets to be all casual. Apparently, a news reporter for News Nation was threatened because of her coverage of Luigi Mangione.
to talk to you about. People who watch the show on a regular basis, you probably saw this clip. I was actually taken aback by it at first a little bit when Tracy said it, and then we didn't have a chance to really get into it, but I know you now have some explanation. The Luigi Mangione case here in New York, Tracy's been on as an expert talking about this case, the guy accused of murdering the United Healthcare CEO, and this is what you said when you were on our show recently about what was happening to you. Let's watch.
I have never received more death threats in my life than I have because of what I have said
Really?
About Luigi Mangione. That is the
On social media, you mean, and stuff like that?
Showing up at my daughter's school because of this. And that is fascinating to me and is really showing the level of rhetoric and the awful, awful precedent that this sets.
Yes, it is. All of those things. But since then, you've done some kind of investigation on your own and found out what was really going on. Can you tell us the story? Because it's interesting.
Sure. Sorry, it's a little long. So, I think it first started, I was on your show when I believe he was first caught, I think. And you and I were talking about potential motives, right? Why would he do something like this? Was he someone who was denied care? Was he covered by United Healthcare? Kind of all of those questions. And I think I had focused on a post that he made on X with his back x-ray.
You think I'm a tanky Grim?
That could be
wow.
but there was really no excuse for it. I had this.
That's wild.
It's painful, but it doesn't beget murder. I think that was the gist of what I had said. And so then I went to X and I reposted that interview that we had done, as well as, my experiences with this surgery. And someone that I had worked with, or was a student of mine in the past, she's 27 now, saw that and actually reposted it along with Mrs. Walter, you used to basically brag about killing babies with drones, which is obviously not something I ever did. I wonder who's
this woman.
So referring to the time you spent serving our country, by the way, as a CIA officer, but this was someone that you were a teacher after you left the FBI and the CIA. So someone you had taught?
Oh, I know who she is, and yes, she had been cheering on the killing of babies with drones, and everybody was fucking raking her on Twitter. It was amazing.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. I actually left the FBI and the CIA to become a teacher. That's actually what I had always wanted to do. So I was really working in my dream career, and that post got 7 million views.
Wow.
And that's what had started all of the death threats, because I couldn't figure out, where it was coming from.
Yeah, how it kind of, people say went viral, but it says something about where we are in the country, this case, the way people have reacted to it. But once it was out there and 7 million people viewed it, then you're saying there were replies to you that were just terrible stuff. That's what, but what's going on here with this case? I mean, what have you taken away from all this?
I think it goes back even farther than this case, to be completely honest with you. And I think maybe it's because I'm old and Generation X. I don't know. But, look, I worked at CIA.
Generation X.
Right. And I fought in the war on terror. Sometimes I did things that I look back on that.
Tracy Waldner.
Right. But most of the time I'm very proud, right, that I served my country. And I felt like
I get that right.
The right side. But the narrative. Sometimes
Tracy Waldner.
On that, maybe weren't right, but most of the time I'm very proud, right, that I served my country, and I felt like I was on, the right side. But the narrative has changed, right? And we're starting to look at people who are engaging in this violent behavior as actually the winners. So their barbarism is okay because those victims don't belong.
You worked for the CIA. The point that they are making is that you worked for the CIA during the war on terror. You are a fucking hypocrite. You tortured and drone bombed babies. She got destroyed on Twitter, and now she's upset about it, and she's getting made fun of, and I'm sure very threatening things are said, because that's what happens on social media. I get it all the time.
Starting to happen. I think social media is actually igniting that on fire, if you will, and that's really creating this environment where it's okay and normalized to be violent.
Well, you were on the right side, and you still are. And but thank you for coming on the show.
No, she's not.
And I'm glad, by the way, that you made it to see your family today. Your husband should take care of everybody on the way home, but that's the
She's part of that deep state.
Tracy. And you shouldn't have to go through that either.
Wow. I didn't realize I knew who she was when I put the story on the list. The man who set a woman on fire on a New York City subway has appeared in court. Oh, I probably should have hit the content warning for some of these. Definitely. He was glazing her so hard.
Accused of setting a woman on fire on the F train faced a judge. Sebastian Zapata, who police say is an undocumented immigrant, is charged with murder and arson. News 4's Melissa Colorado was in court for today's arraignment.
Anonymously, good evening. Merry Christmas.
So what happened in court today?
Happy Hanukkah.
As you know, the video that circulated on social media was disturbing, and the details that came out in court were also disturbing. Prosecutors say the suspect,
crazy Kwanzaa,
apparently told detectives that he had a drinking problem, that he drank a lot of liquor, and that he has no recollection of what happened. Prosecutors also say
he's
that
blackout
the
drunk.
suspect allegedly set this woman on fire. He then used a shirt to fan the flames. The man accused of setting a woman on fire while she slept on a subway train in Brooklyn faced a judge today. 33-year-old Sebastian Zapata,
what was the reason? What was his reason for setting her on fire?
On murder and arson charges for killing a fellow strap hanger. Her name is still a mystery because the medical examiner is still trying to identify the woman. The prosecutor said that Zapata allegedly told detectives that he drinks a lot of liquor and doesn't know what happened. Authorities say MTA cameras captured what happened Sunday morning aboard the F train in Coney Island. Police say Zapata and the female victim.
Notice the cop just walking by.
With her.
We're going to talk about that here in a second.
The line without ever talking to one another. The prosecutor says an MTA camera showed Zapata setting the woman's clothes on fire and then using another shirt to fan the flames. Later in the day, police found Zapata on another F train, this time at Herald Square, after a group of high schoolers recognized him and pointed him out to police. According to federal immigration officials, Zapata was deported in 2018 and snuck back into the country. This is his first arrest. Meanwhile, ICE officials say
got a cool haircut.
Its enforcement and removal operations wing will lodge an immigration detainer. A detainer is a notice that authorities intend to take someone into custody if he's released. President-elect Donald Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, who was set to carry out Trump's mass deportation plans, on Fox News yesterday, blasting New York's sanctuary city protections.
Historic number of criminal aliens walking the streets because this administration's policy in sanctuary jurisdictions and lax immigration enforcement.
And Zapata's last known address was a men's shelter in East New York. His next court date is this Friday. That's the latest here from downtown Brooklyn. I'm Melissa Colorado, News 4 New York.
All right, Melissa.
Melissa Colorado. What a cool name. I'm into Melissa Colorado. Yeah, the officer just walked right by as a person was on fire. I mean, it's actually a case about a subway that reaffirmed that cops have no duty to help you. See the cop walking right by. I don't know if I can say they're the worst. There are so many horrible police departments. So many horrible police departments in this country. A homeless man beat up a cop. This is the kind of thing I can get behind. Homeless migrant ranting about disdain for female police officers beats up cop at Port Authority bus terminal. A homeless migrant allegedly pummeled a rookie female cop. Yeah, we got to throw sexism in here as well. ACAB to the cop, but boo to the man and the sexism. Females can be shitty cops just as well as men can be shitty cops, I assure you. When the cop approached Valencia, he allegedly exploded, arguing and telling the rookie he had a knife. Valencia then allegedly tripped the cop when she tried to cuff him and pounced on her when she hit the ground. The migrant, who immigrated from Colombia during the pandemic, according to the sources, allegedly shocked her multiple times while ranting about his disdain for female police officers. Did the cop say that, though? If the cop said that, I don't trust her. The cop called for backup before trying to arrest the attacker, and when more police arrived, the deranged creep was still punching her while officers tried to yank him away. Yeah, let's see body cam of this incident. Valencia was finally arrested and charged with assault on a police officer and resisting arrest. Apparently, she was hospitalized with multiple injuries. We're going to go to North Carolina, where a cop was killed at a Food Lion. Does everybody know what a Food Lion is? I don't think they have those everywhere, do they? Everyone heard of Food Lion?
Killed while responding to a call of a man with a gun inside of a grocery store this morning.
Police say a suspect is in custody now. We're working to find out who that person is and if anyone else was hurt in that shooting. Investigators remain at the scene tonight collecting evidence, working to figure out what happened in the moments leading up to
Food Mommy
being shot.
Tonight, we are learning more about who Officer Haran was. A memorial is set up inside of the Greensboro Police Department. Our team coverage begins tonight with WXII 12's Joshua Davis. Joshua.
No, it's a very somber day here in Greensboro. You might be able to see this memorial right over my shoulder here. Greensboro police can confirm at this time that police officer Michael Haran has been killed. Investigators say Officer Haran was called to the Food Lion located on Lawndale Drive in Greensboro to a call about a man with a gun. That was around 11 a.m. this morning.
Well, he was warned.
Police confirm Officer Haran was shot while inside the store. The shooting prompted police response with dozens of cars
one up, tip one back
being called to the scene. And this is video of the arrest. The Duplin County Sheriff's Office.
We're going to be watching Christmas special shortly.
Taken into custody after a high-speed chase that ended near the Duplin County-Sampson County line. But while there is a suspect in custody, it is still unclear what circumstances led up to the shooting.
Thanks to the help of multiple partners, the offender is in custody and there is no threat to the public. We will release more details about the suspect as the investigation evolves. Our department has requested the State Bureau of Investigation to be the lead investigating agency in this case.
This is truly a family, but a family that has been tested today.
Did they have AIDS?
In Greensboro,
gonorrhea?
Say they've received overwhelming support from community partners.
What were the test results?
Agencies around the state. In Greensboro, I'm Joshua Davis for WXII 12 News.
Joshua, thank you. And tonight we're learning more about Officer Haran.
Yeah, we know that he is being remembered in many ways by the Greensboro Police Department. Kara?
Devontae and Christine, that is correct. We talked about the memorial that now sits outside of Greensboro headquarters.
Indeed. Thank you for the resub.
Stop by to
welcome in. Merry Christmas.
Flowers. And GPD says aside from Officer Haran being an amazing officer, he was also a husband and father and friend to many. GPD officials say that he had an excellent reputation.
And Haran got shot at the Food Lion.
Not only did he serve the Greensboro community, but he also
didn't
served
get
in the Coast
away.
Guard. Horan dedicated 18 years with the Guard before going into active reserve. And during his time, he was part of the 1st Coast Guard Terrorism Unit in Seattle, Washington. He also served as a lieutenant, lifeguard, and instructor at the Beach Haven Beach Patrol in New Jersey from 1995.
Sorry, I won't do that again.
But his heroic acts extended far beyond his job title. He also received a life-saving award in 2019 for swimming 60 yards to rescue a father and son from rip currents in Emerald Isle while on vacation with his family. Now, something else to mention, the policeman's prayer sits on Horan's memorial table inside GPD headquarters, and the last line reads, "Lord, if some dark and dreary night I must give my life, Lord, with your everlasting love, protect my children and my wife." The Police Officers Association has created a fundraising campaign to help his wife and children during this.
Hope God smites his wife.
To that website on
That's horrible of me.
WXAI12.
Woman just lost her husband.
Outside GPD headquarters, I'm Kara Peters for.
I'm over here saying, hope God smites her.
Kara, thank you. And tonight we all.
But lucky for her, there is no such thing as God. Ah ha ha ha. Ah ha ha. Here tonight as we prepare to celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm hoping Trailer Park Boys plays tonight. I've not seen Woodland Critter Christmas. I've not seen Trailer Park Boys. Several big Christmas hitters I have not seen yet. I hope we watch. Torchy, good evening. Chaos unfolded during a reporter's live shot in L.A.
This holiday travel season also kind of terrible. Did you see the traffic behind Jean? It's expected to be the busiest on record.
Gas prices are down compared to last year, so it's leading many people to hit the roads. KTLA's Jean King live in downtown L.A. with more on the busy holiday crunch. Jean, what a difference an hour can make before we... Hey, leave now. Looks great. Now it is backed up behind you on one side of the freeway.
Hey, good morning, Megan and Lauren. Happy holidays to you and everyone that is watching this morning. Unfortunately, there's an accident here that happened within the past 30 minutes or so. And this is downtown LA, specifically Wilshire Boulevard, the overpass at the 110. Look at that. People are getting so frustrated because they don't want to wait. They're cutting over to the opposite lanes going over the median. Be very careful. That is very dangerous. Now take a look.
Oh no, this is fun.
Traffic camera. We're going to tell you and show you exactly what's going on here.
Holy shit.
It looks like there is a car on a tow bed truck right now. I see at least 2 CHP cruisers out there. They put the flares and all of those lights to make sure people are now merging from the 3 lanes down to 1 lane. Once again, this is the downtown LA area. We don't know how quickly this all just happened within the past half hour or so, and a lot of drivers hitting the roads for the holiday travel season. It's supposed to be pretty clear on those other freeways if you're
Torchy.
Christmas and the rest of the holidays. It should be easy, clear travel for everyone else. Now, millions of SoCal residents are gearing up for end-of-the-year trips, according to AAA. That's up about 3.5% from last year and nearly 7% higher than pre-pandemic levels. With Christmas falling on a Wednesday this year, families are taking advantage of the long weekends and heading out for road trips. That's almost 9 million holiday travelers.
Seriously, it's like the best day for Christmas to fall on.
Expected to be heavy later today.
In order to maximize time off at a company.
New Year's, but there's some really good news for drivers. Gas prices, well, they are about 40 cents cheaper per gallon compared to this time last year. Now, according to AAA,
just live shot.
Best and worst times for holiday road travel. That's today. The worst time is from 3 to 8 o'clock tonight. Best time is before noon. And then the busiest route, LA to Palm Springs via 110 East, around 7:45 tonight. If you're traveling around that time, it should take almost 3 hours. That's very long. And then Monday, the worst time is 1 to 6 p.m. Best time also before noon. And then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on the
today.
Minimal traffic.
Merry Christmas, you bastards.
So if you can hit the road once again before noon today, that is the thing to do. Now back out here live, unfortunately,
here we go. This is where
frustrated drivers this morning. That's specifically because of an accident here at the Wilshire Boulevard overpass, but a lot of honking. Oh my goodness, please be very careful. We're seeing those
They're causing chaos.
losing their patience. The driver's just cutting over to the median.
Live.
So that doesn't cause another accident. But oh my gosh, guys, I am so stressed looking at this. Hopefully
seriously
just, chills out a little bit. Please be patient and get to your destination safely. Reporting live here in downtown LA, Gene King, KTLA 5 News.
Gene, that is so dangerous what the drivers are doing, cutting over that median. I have seen someone get in an accident before my eyes doing that.
Look, yes.
It's making us nervous watching it too. So we'll come back to you in a bit, and we hope that those drivers stop doing that.
Somebody's already hit somebody.
I know. We're just watching the left side of the screen going, no, any second now. It's terrible. You hear the honking, but all because of an accident. So at first we were like, oh my gosh, the holiday travel on top of that.
Damn.
Accident, right there where he is.
Yeah, slap the desk a little bit more. When I was the news director of like a conglomerate of radio stations, I had to go and do all the morning shows and talk about what was coming up on the top of the hour at the news. The big one was the country station, and it was in the middle, and it had a bunch of guest chairs and like a big console. I'd come in with my coffee and everything, and apparently I'd get real animated and start slapping the desk and shit. Sexual anarchy is what ails me? I don't know.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Let's go to Hawaii. You want to watch a volcano erupt? That seems really cool. I bet this footage is fucking amazing.
And then, boom, a new eruption at Halemaumau crater. This is time-lapse video from the initial surge of lava that quickly filled the crater floor overnight, producing lava fountains nearly 300 feet high. More than 18 hours later, this is what's left of that eruption, a glowing lava lake covering about a square mile. This is a live look from the crater's edge. The National Park Service says those fountains stopped this afternoon, and it appears the eruption has paused.
This is from last night.
Kilauea's fifth eruption at the summit in the last 4 years. Mark Carpenter reports on the early rumblings before the ground opened up.
When you start getting texts at 2 o'clock in the morning from USGS, you kind of wake up quickly. But I did not know that my Monday was going to be this magnificent.
And wake-up calls don't get more dazzling than this. Scientists say the rumbling first started at about 1:30 in the morning with an intense swarm of earthquakes as the cracks on the Halemaumau crater floor started to open up while magma moved to the surface. Less than an hour later, the distinct sound of new earth being formed.
The reports from our field team were that this sounded a lot like a jet engine when they arrived up there, and it's a little bit quieter now. The high point of the fountains, they were at about 80 meters, which is over 200 feet tall.
A gushing geyser positioned in the southwest corner of Halemaumau, and just 3 hours after the eruption started, lava covered 400 acres of the caldera floor.
It's about a kilometer in diameter or so of what we see, and it makes it, right now, that puts it up in the category of one of the biggest lava lakes on the planet. We have water and sulfur that are dissolved in the magma, and that water and sulfur, it's very much like if you have a sealed soda can or soda bottle that you have CO2 dissolved in the soda. When you open it up, the CO2 can come out. And it's the same thing with the water and the sulfur.
Natural ingredients blending together to create a magical spectacle. But if you're going to check it out, the National Park advises to admire from a distance at designated viewing areas.
From a distance.
Mindful of the hazards.
You can see all the gaps.
It was like a year ago that Sparkle said she would sing from a distance.
That are blowing it away from.
We got a ceasefire.
But the winds can shift. So people who have any kind of respiratory or heart issue really need to check the air quality, which they can find.
Still waiting on that.
This marks Kilauea's third eruption just within the last 6 months. Back in June, lava emerged from the southwest rift zone in an eruption that only lasted about 6 hours. 3 months later, another event in the Middle East rift zone at Nepal crater, which spanned several days. All part of Kilauea's complex and mysterious underground network. And scientists advise to savor this because it's not known how long it will last.
You know, as eruptions go on, it's possible that it could move there, but the possibility seems very, very low right at this moment. It's more likely that this eruption would end and then activity might migrate into one of the rift zones, or it might return to the summit.
Mark Carpenter, Hawaii News Now.
Guests at the Volcano House Hotel had no idea when they went to bed last night they'd be treated to some of the first and best views of the eruption. The hotel is near the edge of the crater.
Oh, that's so fucking cool.
Picture window. Crowds.
Oh, take your Chiron down.
Spread. Some guests,
you bitch.
Ben Green, woke up in the middle of the night and ran outside in the 50-degree weather.
And I hear somebody yell, "Oh my God, the volcano's erupting." And I was like, oh, no way, maybe it's something little. And I peeked back the curtain and I said, "Oh my God, the volcano's erupting. Everybody needs to wake up right now." And so the whole floor of the crater was filling up with lava, which was just glowing. And the fountains were really pretty dramatic. The smoke was going in all different directions.
Oh, I'm very excited. I mean, Christmas is a busy time of year up here anyways. But certainly anytime there's a flow of lava at the volcano, it draws even more people around the islands, because depending on where...
Artists at Volcano Garden Arts in Volcano Village say they expect the crowds at the gallery to double as people flock to the volcano. Although the
everything about its relationship to commerce,
science professor says
can't just enjoy an eruption.
It's really tough to forecast what volcanoes do. You know, you need to have a direct line to Madame Pele. Since 2020, there have been 6 eruptions, and some of them have lasted a week.
Pele the kicker?
The longest one has been a year. So
soccer player?
I would guesstimate that this eruption will last somewhere between 1 week and 1 year. So we will...
Well, thank you.
It's also common for eruptions.
Great insight.
Continue with new vent
anywhere between a week and a year.
Can last for months.
So I'm gonna start telling people when they ask me like a time frame. Anytime between a week and a year. And give yourself a nice wide berth there. This was called Christmas weed. I'm not sure if this was what they meant.
Have been enjoying a special little Christmas treat this holiday season. Don't get too excited. A weed has been decorated like a Christmas tree. That's what we're talking about. Look at that holiday tree. Kind of
Christmas weed.
Browns. It's a little bush at the median where Parker Road splits Hilltop Road and 20 Mile Road in Parker. It's got all the traditional ornaments, even a little elf on the shelf there, working a little extra hard to spread some holiday joy this season. It's not a lot of fans. Even if people only stop.
Not the kind of Christmas weed I was expecting.
I love the tree because it's so unique and everybody has participated and it just really represents what Parker is about.
That's some Christmas fun, PP girl.
Maybe you had a couple cars hit it, whatever.
Listen to some.
But hey, it's a thought that counts.
Fucking
yeah,
techno music.
Sure.
Electronic music.
That's one way to put it. If you enjoy the tree at the stoplight, just make sure that you're paying attention to the traffic around you, that you're not, looking at the tree too much and saying, "Oh, I didn't realize the light turned green."
Not a tree. Not a tree at all. Meanwhile, some people in Dallas, does this classify as our what the fuck is up with Fort Worth segment? Meanwhile, in Dallas, neighbors are frustrated with a light display.
All right, you have to see this. Decorated homes. We know they go viral during the holidays, but have you seen this one right here in Dallas? Yeah, the lights so bright, they almost shine like diamonds. I mean, this display
shine bright like a diamond.
It's really lighting up the internet worldwide, attracting massive crowds, as you can see.
Fort Worth.
Found out, though, that some of the neighbors are not thrilled.
Everything all ready to go. Before the lights came on, people took positions. Less than a minute. To witness why this house lit up the internet.
Jesus.
The must
Bravo.
Dallas's Preston Hollow neighborhood twinkles from top.
Bravo.
Even the lawn is lit, and a politically themed Santa, along with his 8 not so
Oh my God.
the street, where crowds are as much charmed.
It's just magnificent. It's just absolutely so beautiful.
As they are curious.
When I got,
You gotta go big in Texas.
I was like, heck no. Their light bill gotta be crazy.
Daisha Ashley was delivering groceries when she spotted the home and recorded video that went viral. Since then, countless more have spread on social media, with some driving more than an hour, waiting in bumper-to-bumper traffic to see it.
And I found the house on TikTok. I was actually on vacation in Hawaii, and I just flew in the night prior, and I was like, this is my first stop that I do when I go back home.
But as we discovered, not everyone likes the view. With all the people this display is attracting, you can imagine some neighbors are not thrilled. More than one has told me it can take them more than an hour to get home because of the traffic, and Dallas police are now only allowing traffic to flow through here in one direction. One neighbor told me this fence was installed to block the light and prevent crowds from damaging the lawn, and if the sign on it doesn't send the message. It seems the sprinklers that spew at the exact moment the lights come on do.
They're done with all this.
In a text, an owner of the home told me it's disheartening to see how their negativity overshadows the joy that our decorations bring to those who pass by. Unfortunately, we have encountered challenges posed by our neighbors that have adversely affected this meaningful time. The family says their efforts to spread joy will persist.
They win. They won Christmas.
Providing yet another reason why, for some, Christmas
Merry Christmas and to all a good night
can't come soon enough. In Dallas, Meredith Yeomans, NBC5.
The Dallas Department of Code Compliance is aware of the concerns about the property. It says city code prohibits outdoor lighting from shining onto neighboring properties, and that it is working to ensure compliance with the regulations.
Yeah, but it's Christmas.
On the surrounding properties.
But it's Christmas.
On Christmas Eve, we continue a tradition we started a few years ago with members of the U.S. military presenting a holiday song. This year, musicians from the military services performed the Christmas classic Jingle Bells. This video was produced by the Pentagon's Defense Visual Information.
So it's propaganda.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a 57 Chevrolet. Hey,
jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
dashing through the snow.
Was not expecting that voice.
Oh, the fields we go.
He's a good singer.
Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Ow!
Jingle bells, jingle, jingle, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a 57 Chevrolet.
Jingle bells, jingle, jingle, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride.
Oh, aren't you guys adorable?
Dashing through the snow.
Yes, Minty.
Horse open sleigh. O'er them fields we go. Laughing, laughing, laughing. Ow! Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight.
Damn.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a 57 Chevrolet.
Jingle bells, jingle, jingle, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
gorgeous, Julie. Welcome in. Merry Christmas.
Thank you again to those in uniform who put that song together for us. And to
This might be our animal story for the evening. Red wine terrorist. Welcome in, my friend. So glad to see you. Merry Christmas. An owl flew down a chimney in an Arlington family's home and perched atop their Christmas tree.
Okay, now to this wonderful Christmas story. Many people top their Christmas trees with, a star, an angel. Some people put ribbons on them. That's the big thing this year. And our family got quite a surprise this week when they realized their topper had been replaced.
Yeah, turns out an owl flew down their chimney and did a little redecorating. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief
Owl I want for Christmas.
family and the rescuer of the owl.
When the Animal Welfare League of Arlington got a call on Wednesday night that an owl had flown down a family's chimney and into the house, Sergeant Spencer Murray expected he'd actually find a much smaller bird, someone mistakenly thought was an owl.
When I walk in, lo and behold, there was an owl.
This was the scene in the Burgoyne family house, an owl who'd become a very special Christmas tree topper, much to the delight of the 6- and 3-year-old girls watching with their dad.
He's like, this is the perfect spot.
He's like on top.
What do you guys think?
The natural question for Spencer?
How are you going to get that guy out?
The family's video capturing the owl flying back and forth from treetop to kitchen cabinets. Savannah first spotted it earlier in the evening on the baby's high chair before it landed on the tree.
I'm very personally sad that there's no Hogwarts enrollment letter that it came with. It's magical, Christmas moment that it felt comfortable on top of the Christmas tree. It knocked over our star.
In his 4 years rescuing animals, this is only the second owl Spencer's encountered.
It was one of my favorite calls that I've ever responded to. Just a picture-perfect moment of the owl looking at us while on top of the Christmas tree.
And as soon as this photo was posted on the Welfare League social media pages, the comments came pouring in. One reading, "This is so magical and so beautiful. Next year's Christmas card for the family." The Burgoynes reflecting on the very special experience.
Yeah, it was a beautiful animal. We felt super lucky. We were very sad to see it leave. I mean, it was gorgeous, and to watch it fly back and forth silently in our house was so cool. The kids they loved it.
But that moment of departure, also magical. Just listen to the 6-year-old.
Oh, there he goes.
Off into the night, leaving behind Christmas magic and a story this family will tell for years to come. In Arlington, I'm Julie Carey, News 4.
Aw, that has got to be a good omen or something.
I think so. And the irony of it happening this closely to the holidays. I mean, just what a story.
Yeah, and the owl was so unfazed, just kind of flitting here, flitting there.
Magical owl.
Great story to tell.
That was a superb owl. Okay, that was heartwarming, but it wasn't cuddly. I can't not give you a cuddly animal story for Christmas Eve. So here are some shelter dogs. They got to pick out their toys. These babies get to come in, pick whatever toy they want. Look at that butt wiggle. Oh, he went with the octopus. Nope. He's very indecisive. But then again, they gave him a lot of options. He's the first one in, so he has the most to pick from. Dustin, don't go anywhere. We're not, if you're watching on Twitch, we're not leaving. We're doing classic television specials. We're only going to be saying bye to the YouTube and podcast audience. We're wrapping up the Troll Patrol, but we're staying on. We're doing doing Christmas TV specials. I've had several that I've not even got to see. Oh my God, he's spinning. He's so excited. That poor baby having to be locked up in a shelter. Oh my God, he's beautiful. How? How is that pupper still in a shelter? Oh, PB girl, we already watched Garfield. Went for the octopus. You missed Garfield. We watched it Sunday night. I'm sorry. We've had an amazing time watching Christmas specials. We watched Beavis and Butthead. I'm going to draw a blank now. Andy Griffith. Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock Christmas special. Oh, go back to the puppies. Nobody wants to watch you dance and look stupid. Go back to the puppies. Yeah, there we go. Puppies picking up presents. He doesn't know what he wants. We watched Daria last night. That was a lot of fun. Kunk on Christmas. The X-Files Christmas episode. PP Jackson 69, welcome in. I do too. They're so sweet. That's why shit like this is really these kind of events really help get puppies adopted. So I'm glad they utilize social media the way they do. Video like this of puppies getting pick out their presents is a great way to get these puppies seen by people. And people go in and adopt them. Did I like the X-Files episode? It was alright. It was middle of the road. I don't know how I would like an X-Files episode that didn't have Lily Tomlin and Ed Asner in it, though. Because they were the standouts of the episode. We get a couple of PPs in here. Everybody show me your PP.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
So if you're watching on Twitch, stick with us. We're going to do classic Christmas television specials. YouTube peeps, podcast peeps, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. No Troll Patrol tomorrow night. We're going to be back the night after Christmas. We have not watched Golden Girls yet. It has been on the roulette wheel and has not popped up. Merry Christmas to the podcast YouTube peeps. We'll see you the night after Christmas. Boom.